Well, hello, my fabulous audience that I just love and adore. I want to give a shout out to all of my listeners. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for listening. I adore you from deep, deep down in my heart. Okay, so we're having another conversation about magic and woo. So if you're like, oh, it's one of those talks. I prefer when she talks about kinky stuff and her sex life. Then today's not the episode that you want to listen to. However, if you're curious about how I show up magically in the world and how magic shows up in my world, and the wonderful, amazing adventures that living from a magical place, creates for me, then, continue listening. It's going to be a lovely show. Today, we're going to talk about sex magic. Boom, chicka, wow, wow. So I'm gonna give you a little backstory about what is sex magic, and then I'll tell you a little bit about my journey of how I became a high priestess of divine sexual magic. There are other episodes where I talk about how I did my initiation and how I got my vision. So you want to check out those episodes. We'll go to the episode the first time I'm in the Amazon jungle, is where I'm giving my. So there's two Amazon jungle episodes. Listen to both of those, and then listen to my first trip to Costa Rica, which is episode 221. I will put in the show notes the actual numbers of those other episodes so that you can find them easily in the library. Okay, let's talk about sex magic. Oh yeah. Boom, chick, wow. Sex magic. So what is sex magic? So there's what's the difference between, let's talk about sex magic and sexual energy. Okay. So sex magic is the ability to create and harness sexual energy for a purpose. That is what sex magic is being able to harness those frequencies, and sexual energy is also life force energy, creation energy. It's the pulsation of what is the base of all things that are created, comes from sex energy or creation energy or life force energy, whichever language resonates best for you. But they're the same frequency, they're the same energy source. And when we do sex magic, we're able to create that sexual energy. We're able to harness it and tap it into the sexual energy around us through nature, through the elements, through with people, through our own sexuality. We can build that energy, we can harness that energy, and then we can give it a purpose. And that's where the magic part comes in, sex magic part. And some of the purposes that you would use sex magic for, very popular, is manifestation. So manifesting things into reality. It can be relationships, health, money, abundance, a parking spot. It's like, basically you have your sex magic basically is this beautiful way of manifestation. It manifests things very quickly and with ease because it's very powerful, very powerful. The other thing about that you can use sex magic for is also healing yourself, healing the earth, healing others. It can be used as a healing capacity, you basically harnessing life force energy and using that from a healing perspective. Those are the two major things that sex magic is used for: manifestation and healing. The third one that you can use it for is to charge other magics that you're doing. So if you're doing other like intention magic, or you're doing a spell, you can wrap that spell and basically supercharge it with some sexual energy, and some sex magic attached to it will supercharge it and help it, again, be more powerful. So it can be used as a backup juice to intensify your current spell or whatever you're doing magically. So sex. So that's what sex magic is. Okay, that's the simplest version. There's more complexity to it, but that's the simplest version of understanding why, what, and how. Well, I didn't really talk about the how. The how is there's two ways to either create sexual energy or harness sexual energy. So for example, let's take most of the audience has heard of tantra or tantra. And that is where you are the vehicle of creating sexual energy. You and your partner or partners or people are basically the source of the creation of sexual energy. And that happens with squeezing, Kegels, breathing, moving energy, building it, building it, building it, building it, building it, building it, building it. And then you have a ball of sexual energy that you can then do focus energy work with, which is then turns into sex magic. Okay, so that's kind of like the one way in which we can activate and create sexual energy within ourselves and with the help of others. And again, it amplifies the more people you have engaged in that building of that charge, of building of that energy, the more energy exists, the more charged it is, the more charged that energy is, the more fuel it has to, for whatever the reason that you're using your sex magic for. Then that's one way. The other way is being the tapping into the life force energy of things around us. So nature, like the primal forces of nature, like the elementals of nature, earth, air, fire, water, metal, tapping into storms and harnessing that energy, tapping into trees and grass and vegetation and animals. And, you can tap into the other sources of creation energy around us. Now, this is really, really, really important because, please don't do any of this stuff if you're like, oh, this is really cool, I want to try this. Please don't try this at home. There's a lot of consequences and danger that can happen if you don't know how to do it properly. So for example, harnessing energy from other sources, you can deplete those sources. So you don't want to do that. So if you're going to start to dabble in this, start with dabbling within your own creation of sexual energy. So with your own genitals and your own, building up your sexy charge, and, start there. Do not without supervision or support or a teacher or a mentor, actually start harnessing energy around you to add to your sex magic, because that's can be very dangerous both for you and the things that you're harnessing around you. Okay, so if you're like, oh, I want to be able to do that, then come reach out to me so I can teach you how to do that. I have a great program, Magick mentor program. It's called Essence, that I can help you unleash and awaken and activate all those things. Okay, you need somebody to teach you, otherwise you can do major harm to yourself and things around you. And because if you take too much life force energy, you know what happens without life force energy? Death. So it's very important. Okay, that's my dun 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 warning. All right, so don't try this at home without knowledge, without training. So where was I? Okay, so you can harness the energy, healthy, safely, ethically from other sources. And again, add that to your spell weaving, and you can then add it and focus it, and now you're doing sex magic. You can combine your own energy, your own creation of life force energy, sex energy, with the life force energy and sex energies of around, of course, ethically and consensually and safely, and combine them to then do sex magic with. Okay, so the key is to do sex magic, you must have an energy source to do the magic. Whether it's yourself, whether it's around you, whether it's a group effort, there needs to be a source of it. Okay, so you're like, oh. And again, you can manifest anything into reality. You can, that's part of like, like for example, this morning, I'll just take this morning. So I did some sex magic after I'd done a whole bunch of meditation and things. And what I was doing is I was building the sexual energy within myself by masturbating and building it and building it and building it and building it. And when I had my orgasmic release, I gifted, this was my intention, was to help heal the world, heal the earth. So I gifted my first orgasm to the earth. I had another I built and built and built and built and built. I had another orgasm, and I sent that orgasm into a particular place on the earth that I know needs some extra love. So I sent it there. And then I had a third orgasm that I had. I used that to activate calling in ethical wealth into my life. So I finished doing my sex magic, and then I got a new client. Like that. Don't mess my hairdo. Get in and get out, don't mess my hairdo. Just like that. And so that's just one example of, how, and that took me doing that, engaging in that way, sex magically, probably like 20 minutes. So it's powerful. And the other thing that when we tap into our sexual energy and the sex energy all around us and our abilities to be present, because that's how it's really important. Like there's a framework, like you just don't whack off and have orgasms and there you go, you got the energy source. It's like there's being present, there's being aware, there's allowing the building of that energy throughout your body. Then there's being able to harness that with a direct intention of what it is and where it's going. And in order to be able to be that kind of orgasmic and all those things, you have to be in your body. You have to be aware. You have to be surrendering to pleasure, surrendering to being in the body, surrendering. I talk a lot about surrender because it's the source of everything. It's the source of ease. It's the source of joy. It's the source of pleasure. It's the source of orgasms. It's the source of contentment. It is the source. The source is surrendering, letting go and letting go of expectations and being present in the moment. So in order to create that level of energy, you must be able to be present in your body. And in order to do that, you have to let go, you have to turn your brain off, be embodied and an embodied being. So it sounds like, ooh, it's a lot of fun. And it sounds like it's kind of easy to do. And it is easy to do once you know how to do it. And once you heal the pieces, because it's important to understand that we live in a time where sexuality in itself, never mind just sexual energy, but just sexual energy, sexuality is complex and carries a lot of shame and a lot of fear and a lot of taboos. And from that place, we have to heal. In order to be able to, to wield sex magic, to harness sexual energy, we have to heal the wounds, our own sex wounds, our own love wounds, our own heart wounds, our own relationship wounds. And that's, I think, one of the most important things I want you to take away from today's episode is that without that healing, it doesn't work. Without that healing part, it doesn't flow. Without that healing, it just doesn't, it causes more distress. So often we don't want to sit in our pain points. I'm the first to admit that fucking sucks. Healing time, it sucks. Doing healing sucks. It's not fun. It's certainly not orgasmic. But without doing that, looking at our truths and having the difficult conversations and clearing out toxicity and then looking at our past and reprogramming and reparenting and healing. Without that, we can't just go to the beautiful place of orgasmic bliss. Orgasmic bliss lives on the other side once we heal our shit. Orgasmic bliss and being able to use sex magic as a way in which you move in the world happens on the other side of the healing. So I just need to say that piece, because a lot of times I see people trying to jump over that step and want the end result. But the end result can't happen until you do that first step. And if you're like, well, I don't know how to do that first step. Oh, look, I can help you. Just come see me. I can help you. And if I can't help you, I have a shit ton of people in my world that specialize in all sorts of forms of healing that can help you out. Okay. Now, if you're like, ooh, I really want to learn about sex magic, and I really want to like harness my sexuality and like my sexual energy. And I have a beautiful program. It's a magical mentorship program that we teach you how to do that, where I teach you how to tap into who you are. So reach out to me and I can get you set up on what's your first steps, basically. Is it the healing? Is it tantra? Is it, you're awakening your elemental magical self? What's your best steps moving forward to become a divine sexual being that wields sex magic? All right. So you can reach out to me and I can help you navigate that world. So how did this happen for me? You might be like, well, why do you know all this stuff? Well, because I'm a high priestess of divine sexual magic. That's why I know this stuff. But how did I figure that, or how did I activate that in this lifetime? Because I've been a high priestess of divine sexual magic for many, many lifetimes. So in this lifetime, my first step actually was meeting my tantra teachers. They, when I met them, this magical thing happened. Surprisingly, I was at the Everything to Do with Sex show. They happened to be there. There's tens of thousands of people all around me. And when I was talking to, Paula, which became one of my teachers, everything went quiet. And all I heard was, this is your teacher. You need to spend time with her. She will let you know what you need to know. And so that had been one of the first times in this lifetime that something so deeply profound happened like that, where everybody just appeared and I got a really clear message. And, I was 20, how old was I? 25, 26. Yeah, I think I'm like 26. I'm about 26 or 27. I'm 48 now. So that's just give you a framework. So that was my first time that I was like, whoa, something weird just happened. And I feel like I should listen to this. So at the time I took my partner and I was like, okay, we got to go to this thing. And he was like, are you crazy? We don't have that kind of money for a weekend. I'm like, we got to go. We can do it. So off we went, and it activated all the knowledge of all my tantric knowledge of all the lifetimes of being basically a sexual priestess, and it activated it all. It's like just came flooding back to knowing, like a deep knowing on a soul level of this is how. And for me, it helped me to change from learning to harness all my sexual energy for good instead of being this toxic tsunami of destruction in my wake with all the sexual energy that I had carried with me and tapped into and all things, but I didn't know what it was. I just was like, I was super horny all the time and shit just went sideways around me all the time. all sorts of really toxic sexual behavior started happening all around me all the time because of all the energy that I had, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't know how to harness it, and I didn't know all the things. So that was the first step for me. And then I started practicing and engaging and, harnessing my energies and moving them in and out, and, started working with consciously working with sexual energy through different tantric practices. And then I end up in the Amazon jungle, and I'm, years later, and I end up in the Amazon jungle, and now, I'm given my destiny by the Amazon jungle, and it's great, lots of details about that in one of the Amazon jungle story episodes. I'll give you the numbers in the show notes. And I get activated again, a new layer of activation. And this time it's given me the gift of, okay, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm here to do. I'm here to help people activate their sexuality, how to activate their sexual energy, to awaken, to help the world heal their sexual trauma, and to help heal the world and the earth to heal. And so that starts me on a career change. At that point, I owned a pottery and drumming studio, drumming and pottery and drumming teaching studio. And it changes my trajectory in life drastically to become a holistic sexual wellness specialist, which is what I've been for the last 13 years or so. It seems like forever. Anyways, and I start the path of helping people heal their sexuality, heal their sexual trauma, and activate who they are. Then I end up in Costa Rica, and then I get my initiation. So I was activated in the Amazon jungle, and then I end up in the Costa Rica jungle, and I am initiated as the high priestess of divine sexual magic and elemental magics. And again, that activates a new layer of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And that episode goes into great details on how that happened and what transpired to allow that to happen for me. And since then, this is how I move. This is what I am. This is what I do. I use sex magic all the time. I help other people. I spend a lot of time training other people to heal their sexuality, but also then become and activate their sexual gifts, their sex magic, their sexual energy. And and then they start to gallivant and start to help the rest of the world heal those sex wounds and those sex traumas and the things that we've been carrying with us. And it's amazing. Like I said, sex magic can be used for manifestation, for healing, and can be used as a supercharge for other things energetically and magical that you want to do. There is no limit. And because it's a never ending resource. So that energy doesn't deplete. It continues to create. It creates itself. It recreates itself over and over again because it's creation, life force energy. So as long as things are alive, there's energy, there's sex energy all around us. And we have the capabilities of tapping into it. Now, why do you want that? Well, I mean, all the juicy things that I just told you. But what that does for you as a human being is it helps you clear your stuck stuff, for one. Two, it helps you really embody being human, like all the good, the bad, the ugly of being human. It helps to intensify your orgasmic possibilities and pleasure possibilities. It helps with your ability to bond and connect and relate to others because you're relating on a deep, deep level. It changes the narrative from the empty, how how do I want to say it? The disconnected parts of how we've been taught to work with sexuality and our horniness. It repairs that so that you can be deeply connected to everything and yourself, and you can feel whole when you engage sexually, not depleted when you engage sexually. So there's like so many benefits to moving from the world from this place. So I lovingly invite you to come on the journey of sexual awakening and sexual magic. Magic in the air. Oh, the one thing that's also really important, it's really hard to be grumpy while you are in the energy of sexuality. It's really hard to be like down and sad and grumpy and in the more despair, those places. It's hard to be in those places because you're tapped in and your harness joy, which is like creation is joy. It's life. It's the beginning of life, and life is filled with joy and celebration and wonderment. And so when you're in that frequency and you're in that energy all the time, it helps create that in your emotional well-being as well. So here's an example of that. I would say the last month in particular has kind of been a bumpy, it was kind of a bumpy month. Actually, I don't know when this airs. A couple months ago. It's going to air in a couple months. So a couple months ago, I had some bumpy points. Okay. And I was feeling I had ending of a relationship. I had an untethering of one aspect of a relationship, so that I made space for it to be what it needed to be instead of what I wanted it to be. I had some health stuff going on. So I had a lot of heavy grieving happening in my world. And it's important to acknowledge that grief, and it's important to feel all of your feelings. Like, don't get me wrong, this is not about running away from your feelings. It's important to feel them all. But sometimes we can be in that space, and that's the space that we stay in. And it's easy sometimes to stay stuck in those stages or in that state of down, low, sad, despair, angry, the more unpleasant emotional spectrum. Okay. Not that those aren't bad emotions. They're just unpleasant to be in. They're not fun. All right. So we can choose to stay. We can sometimes get stuck there for many reasons. Society, relationships, our own stuff, our programming. And there's lots of reasons why we can get stuck there. And what I found is that the easiest way for me to pull myself out of that space when I've been in the space for a little bit too long, it's no longer served me. I'm no longer just processing and releasing. I'm now stuck in it, and it's serving, all these other things that don't actually serve me in the greater good. So one of the ways that's the easiest for me to get out of that is to choose to step into sex magic. Choose to step into that sexual space, to tap into sexual life force energy. Now, depending on what level I am at, as far as how depleted energetically I am, I may not be able to be the source of that energy. So I may need to tap into some outside sources like nature and the elements to be able to kind of start to activate a little bit. Once the activation starts to happen, then it starts to grow and build and things like that. So sometimes I might have to do that, or I can just create it within myself and use that to move that through my body. And as that sexual energy moves through my body, it's awakening and activating and healing my whole physical body, but also my emotional body as well. And it's saying, we choose to live, we choose life, we choose joy, we choose celebration, we choose all of these things. And so by choosing life force energy, which is sex energy, by choosing that, it also changes my emotional state of being. So like if you saw me yesterday, I was very low energy. I was, I wasn't, yesterday was kind of rough. Okay. This morning I was like, you know what? It's time to move out of that place. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to choose sex magic. I did some sex magic this morning and look at me. I'm radiant. I'm energized. I'm, able to create content and podcasting for you. All because of that choice of having that life force energy surging through me like that. Changed my energetic, my physical being like that. So that's why those are some of the reasons why this is totally worth it. All right. That's it. That's all. I love you. Again, if you're like, ooh, I want to activate, I want to do the things, reach out to me. Also, really important, I'm going to Costa Rica in a couple weeks when this airs. And I'm pretty sure we have room for you to join us. So if you would like to join us in February, the middle of February in Costa Rica to start engaging and activating and unleashing and awakening the wild within in one of the most amazing, untamed, wild places that, again, is deep connected to my soul, then come visit us. The link is in the show notes of how you can register, but you may just want to reach out to me directly so we can get you on the roster and get you in the details and all the things. So DM me or connect with me via the website or through social media, or send me an email. And send me an email at gaia@succulentliving.com saying, hey, I want to come to Costa Rica. So reach out to me, because this is the best way and the best place, other than the Amazon jungle, to engage and awaken and start your sexual magic journey. All right. Mwah. I love you, audience. Thanks for being with me. Have a juicy day. And as always, be open to the impossible, which allows the possible to happen. Mwah. Well, I hope today's episode inspired you, encouraged you, and of course, made you feel tingly inside. I just want to take a moment to tell you how much I appreciate the time that you spend and how I really deeply appreciate you listening. I do it for you guys, the audience, and I love and adore you guys. So, quick loving reminder, I am not available for naked pictures, getting married, having sex, or having anybody's babies. And when you want to spend more time with me in a professional capacity as your coach, your teacher, your educator, your facilitator, you can reach me at GaiaMorissette.com. That's the gateway to all things Gaia. Now, if you're like, oh, I really wonder what's in the extended version. I also lovingly invite you to follow me on Instagram, which the handle is My Orgasmic Life Podcast, where you can leave feedback and comments. Also come join me on Facebook at My Orgasmic Life Podcast Facebook group. And I really want to hear from you. I want to know how this show affected you. What did you learn? Was it inspirational? Did you agree? Do you disagree? I want to know, because I'm a little bit of a voyeur. So I want to know how am I affecting you? So please come leave some comments. Now, if you're like, but I don't want everybody to know what I'm thinking, which is okay. Sometimes we need privacy and we need to be anonymous. So you would like that option? We have that. You can email my slutty assistant Layla at GaiaMorissette.com. Okay, listeners, until next time, may your life be filled with sexy exploration and orgasmic pleasure. Mwah. Bye-bye.